Ever feel like you're stuck in the middle of an endless battle, with the weight of the world pressing down on you, but you can't seem to figure out why life feels so unbearably hard? It's like living on the edge of hell, yet you're still on Earth, just trying to make it through the day. We're bombarded by chaos, negativity, and pressure, and it's all starting to feel like too much. So, what's really going on? Why does life feel like it's getting harder instead of easier? Stick around, because by the end of this video, we're going to unpack the reasons behind that feeling and explore how to find your way out of this unbearable mess. Life today is overwhelming. No matter how you look at it, it feels like the world is spinning faster, and we're all just trying to keep up. From global crises to personal struggles, the weight of it all is impossible to ignore. Maybe it's the constant stream of bad news, or the pressure to keep up with everyone else's highlight reel on social media. It's like a never-ending wave of anxiety. And no matter how hard we try to get a grip, we can't escape the feeling of being stuck in a cycle of stress, frustration, and confusion. And then there's the deeper, more personal side of things, the emotional and mental exhaustion that comes with trying to live up to the expectations we set for ourselves. We all want to be productive, happy, successful, and good enough. But the bar always seems to rise higher and higher. We're told to hustle, grind, and stay positive. But where does that leave us when we hit rock bottom? When everything feels like it's falling apart? And there's no escape from the heaviness we carry. This sense of being overwhelmed is not just a fleeting feeling. It's becoming a way of life for many. And the harder we try to get out of it, the more we get trapped. The stress piles up, the weight increases, and the peace we once took for granted becomes harder to find. It's like we're stuck between two worlds, the harsh reality of a world that's constantly throwing curveballs at us, and the desire to live a peaceful, meaningful life. So why does it feel so unbearable right now? And what's the root of all this chaos? The truth is, we're living in a time where the demands of the world, combined with our internal pressures, are simply too much to handle on our own. But recognizing the problem is the first step to finding the solution. Let's take a deeper look at why life feels like it's on the brink of becoming unmanageable, and what we can do to shift our mindset, regain control, and find a sense of peace again. To understand why life feels so unbearable, we have to first acknowledge the pressure from the world around us. The constant bombardment of information, the overwhelming noise from the news, social media, and even the people around us, creates a constant state of mental overload. We're living in an age where it feels like we're always on, always expected to perform, and always aware of what everyone else is doing. The pressure to stay updated, be productive, and look happy is relentless. Think about the way social media affects us. Endless scrolling, watching other people live their seemingly perfect lives, comparing our reality to theirs. What we see online isn't real. It's a filtered version of reality, a curated highlight reel. But the more we see, the more we internalize the idea that we should be doing better, looking better, achieving more. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that everyone else has it together, while we're struggling behind the scenes. That comparison leads to frustration, self-doubt, and a sense of inadequacy, making it even harder to enjoy our own lives. On top of that, we're living through some incredibly stressful times. Global instability, political turmoil, environmental issues, and health crises have piled on additional layers of anxiety. We're constantly reminded of how fragile the world is, and how little control we really have over what happens next. The news doesn't help. It's one crisis after another. each more urgent and dire than the last. It's no wonder that so many of us feel like we're on the edge, unable to find solid ground. It's easy to feel like we're not in control of our own lives, like we're being swept along by the current, with no way to steer. The truth is, the world we live in today is chaotic, and it's pushing us to our limits. But that doesn't mean we're powerless. We have a choice in how we respond to the chaos. The first step is recognizing that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We can start by focusing on what we can control and finding ways to step back from the noise. It's about creating space for ourselves in a world that demands everything from us. But it's not just external pressures we're dealing with. It's the internal ones too. The expectations we place on ourselves, the fear of failure, and the anxiety about what the future holds can feel just as heavy as the outside world. We're constantly asking ourselves if we're doing enough, if we're good enough. This internal struggle is what makes life feel so unbearable at times. And it can be difficult to separate what's real from what we've been conditioned to believe. We start to feel like we're running a race we can't win, and it's easy to lose sight of the fact that we're not meant to do it all. We're human, and it's okay to not have everything figured out. So, what can we do about it? How do we begin to take control of our lives when everything around us feels so overwhelming? The answer lies in shifting our mindset and focusing on what we can change, not everything we can't. It starts with small steps, taking moments to step away from the noise, practicing self-compassion and setting boundaries. And it's about accepting that feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean we're failing. It means we're human, trying to navigate a world that's demanding too much. Recognizing this is the first step toward finding peace in the chaos. At the heart of feeling overwhelmed is a sense of powerlessness. When the world feels out of control, it's easy to get caught up in a cycle of fear, frustration, and helplessness. It can seem like we're constantly reacting to external circumstances instead of actively shaping our own lives. But this mindset is exactly what keeps us trapped in a cycle of stress. In reality, we have more control over how we respond to life's challenges than we might think. One of the biggest challenges is recognizing the difference between what we can control and what we can't. We can't control the global economy or the actions of other people, but we can control how we react to the world around us. This is where the concept of personal responsibility comes in. While it might feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders, we still have the power to decide how we carry it. The first step toward regaining control is acknowledging that we are not powerless. Even when life feels out of balance, we can't change everything, but we can change the way we approach our daily lives. The small actions we take every day, the habits we cultivate, and the mindset we choose can all make a huge difference. For example, when things feel unbearable, one of the best things we can do is create moments of pause. In a world that's constantly moving, slowing down might seem counterintuitive, but giving ourselves space to breathe, think, and reset is one of the most powerful ways to regain a sense of control. It's not about ignoring the chaos. It's about stepping out of it long enough to regain perspective. This could mean taking a walk in nature, practicing mindfulness or meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. These moments of stillness don't solve everything, but they allow us to ground ourselves in the present and reduce the noise that crowds our minds. This creates space to make better decisions and reframe our mindset so we can approach life with more clarity and calm. Another way to take control is by setting boundaries. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with information, requests, and demands, it's easy to feel like we have to do it all. But the reality is that we don't have to be everything for everyone. Learning to say no and prioritizing our time is an essential step in reducing the sense of overwhelm. It's not about being selfish, it's about protecting our mental health and energy so we can show up more effectively in the areas that truly matter to us. Setting boundaries also means recognizing that we don't have to be perfect. We live in a society that values productivity and achievement. But the pressure to be perfect only makes us feel more inadequate. Embracing imperfection and accepting that we don't have to do everything right all the time is freeing. It allows us to focus on progress, not perfection, and to give ourselves grace when things don't go as planned. This mindset shift is crucial in relieving the weight we carry and learning to live with more peace. But perhaps the most important shift we can make is in how we view adversity. Instead of seeing hardship as something that's happening to us, we can choose to see it as something that's happening for us. This doesn't mean denying the pain or the challenges we face. It means recognizing that adversity has the potential to shape us, to teach us, and to help us grow. Life's struggles don't have to define us, but they can refine us if we allow them to. This shift in perspective can be incredibly empowering because it reminds us that even in the most difficult times, we are not helpless. We are capable of learning from the challenges we face and using those lessons to become stronger and more resilient. In fact, it's often the moments of greatest struggle that lead to the most profound personal growth. It's when we're pushed to our limits that we find out just how much strength we really have. And while it may not always feel like it in the moment, the pain we experience can be the catalyst for transformation. By reframing our challenges as opportunities for growth, we can shift from a place of despair to one of empowerment. It's also important to recognize that we don't have to do it alone. Reaching out for support, whether through friends, family, or professional help, is a powerful way to regain control. We are social beings, and sharing our struggles with others not only lightens the load, but also creates a sense of connection and understanding. Sometimes, just knowing that someone else is there to listen can make all the difference in the world. So, when life feels unbearable, remember that it doesn't have to stay that way. You may not be able to control everything, but you can control how you respond. By creating space for yourself, setting boundaries, embracing imperfection, and reframing adversity, you can begin to shift the narrative. Life might be tough, but it doesn't have to be impossible. You have the power to reclaim your peace, regain control, and find a way to move forward, no matter how overwhelming things may feel right now. Now that we've looked at how to regain control in a chaotic world, let's talk about the deeper, more lasting solutions. Ones that go beyond just surviving the day-to-day grind. The key to living a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, despite everything happening around us, is finding purpose. When life feels unbearable, we often lose sight of why we're even here. We get caught up in the noise, the stress, and the pressure, and forget the simple fact that life is a journey meant to be lived with intention. Purpose is what gives us direction. It's the fuel that keeps us going when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Without it, we float through life, reacting to what comes our way without a clear sense of what we're really working toward. But when we find purpose, when we have something that gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning, it shifts everything. The challenges we face don't seem as impossible anymore. The weight of the world is a little easier to carry because we know it's leading us somewhere. So how do we find that purpose? Especially when life feels unbearable and we're struggling to just keep our heads above water. The first step is acknowledging that purpose doesn't always come in grand, life-altering moments. It's not always about a big career achievement or a massive life event. Sometimes, purpose is found in the small things: helping a friend, creating something meaningful, spending time with loved ones, or simply being present in the moment. Purpose can also be found in the way we approach our work. Many of us spend a significant portion of our lives working, and it's easy to get caught up in the grind. But what if we saw our work as more than just a means to an end? What if we approached it as an opportunity to make a difference, no matter how small? Whether you're serving others, creating something new, or doing your best in whatever role you're in. Finding meaning in your daily tasks can transform the way you experience work and life as a whole. Another important aspect of finding purpose is connecting with something larger than yourself. For some, this means connecting with their faith or spirituality, seeking comfort in the belief that there is a bigger plan at play. For others, purpose might come from a sense of service to others or working toward a cause they believe in. When we connect with something bigger, something that transcends our own struggles and challenges, it helps us see beyond our immediate problems and remember that we are part of a much larger story. While finding purpose is crucial, it's also important to practice patience. Purpose isn't always something that can be figured out overnight. It's a journey, not a destination. Sometimes, we have to try different things, fail a few times, and learn along the way, but that's okay. The key is to keep moving forward, to keep searching, and to keep trusting that purpose will reveal itself when the time is right. When you start to embrace your purpose, no matter how small it may seem, it starts to shift your perspective on life. The challenges you face will still be there, but they won't feel quite as overwhelming. You'll have a sense of direction, a reason to keep going, even when things feel like they're falling apart. The power of purpose is that it makes life more than just a series of obstacles to overcome. It makes it a journey of growth, learning, and connection. Ultimately, the feeling of life being unbearable often stems from a lack of direction or clarity. We get stuck in the day-to-day grind and forget to look beyond the immediate pressures. But when we reconnect with our purpose, we gain a sense of peace that allows us to navigate life's difficulties with a greater sense of ease. Life may still be difficult, but it becomes more meaningful, more manageable, and more worth living. And that's the shift we need to make when everything feels like it's too much. Reclaiming your purpose is the key to finding the peace and fulfillment you've been searching for. Even in the midst of chaos, finding purpose in the midst of chaos is powerful, but it's not always enough on its own. When life feels unbearable, it's not just about regaining control or having a direction to head toward. It's about how we cope with the ongoing stress and strain. This is where resilience comes in. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from hardship, to continue forward, even when it feels like everything is working against you. It's what allows us to keep going when we're exhausted, mentally and physically. But developing resilience takes practice, and it requires us to shift the way we think about challenges. Resilience doesn't mean never feeling overwhelmed or never struggling. It doesn't mean that we won't face moments where we feel completely lost or defeated. Rather, resilience is about how we respond when those moments happen. It's about recognizing that challenges are part of life. And instead of letting them break us down, we use them to grow stronger. This shift in mindset is crucial because it allows us to face life's difficulties with a sense of strength and determination, rather than feeling defeated by them. One of the key components of resilience is learning to manage stress. Stress is a normal part of life, but when it becomes constant, it can wear us down, physically and emotionally. To build resilience, we need to develop healthy ways of managing stress so it doesn't overwhelm us. This could mean setting boundaries, practicing self-care, or learning how to let go of things we can't control. Stress management techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or even regular physical exercise can help release the tension that builds up in our bodies and minds. By making these practices a part of our daily routine, we can better cope with the inevitable stress that life throws at us. Another important aspect of resilience is maintaining a positive mindset. Even in the face of adversity, this doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It means being able to look at challenges from a place of understanding, where we see them as opportunities to learn and grow. It's about shifting our focus from what we've lost or what's gone wrong to what we can still control and what we can still accomplish. This mindset doesn't come naturally to everyone, especially when things are tough. But with practice, it can become a habit. It's about choosing to see setbacks as temporary and solvable, rather than permanent and overwhelming. Building resilience also requires us to embrace the idea of failure. In a world that often celebrates success and achievement, it's easy to feel like failure is something to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is, failure is an essential part of growth. It teaches us lessons, challenges our assumptions, and helps us develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. The most resilient people aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who fail and get back up. Learning something new each time, the ability to accept failure, learn from it, and move forward is one of the most important aspects of resilience. Another crucial component of resilience is having a support system. It's easy to feel like we have to face everything on our own, especially when life feels overwhelming. But the truth is, we are not meant to go through life alone. Having friends, family, or a community that we can lean on during tough times is essential for building resilience. When we face adversity, it helps to have people who can offer perspective, encouragement, or simply a listening ear. Sometimes, just knowing that someone else understands can make all the difference in how we navigate through hardship. Resilience also comes from having a sense of control over our actions and choices. Life can feel unbearable when we feel helpless, when it seems like everything is happening to us and we have no say in the matter. But by taking small, purposeful actions, even in the face of uncertainty, we regain a sense of power. This might mean taking control of our routine, setting goals, or focusing on things we can change. When we take action, even in small ways, it reminds us that we still have the ability to influence our lives, no matter how chaotic things may seem. Finally, resilience is about having hope. Hope is what keeps us going when everything else seems bleak. It's the belief that things can and will get better, that we are capable of moving through the toughest of times. Without hope, it's easy to feel like we're stuck in an endless cycle of hardship. But when we hold on to hope, whether it's hope for a better future, a hope that we can overcome this moment, or hope in our ability to change, we find the strength to keep moving forward. The beauty of resilience is that it's a skill that can be developed. It doesn't come overnight, and it doesn't mean we'll never struggle, but with time and effort, we can become more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Life may never be perfect, and there will always be moments of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. But resilience allows us to face those moments with a sense of strength, hope, and determination. And the more we build our resilience, the less unbearable life will feel, because we'll know we have the ability to rise above the chaos, no matter what. Now, let's dive into the idea of acceptance, a crucial piece of the puzzle when it comes to dealing with life's unbearable moments. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to a life of suffering. It means acknowledging the reality of the situation as it is, without fighting against it. When life feels like it's spiraling out of control, our first instinct is often to resist, to push back against what's happening, hoping that somehow, by force, we can change the outcome. But resistance only adds more stress, frustration, and pain to an already difficult situation. The truth is, we can't control everything. No matter how much we wish we could, there will always be things in life that we can't change. The past, the behavior of others, unexpected events, or external circumstances. And when we resist these things, when we try to control what's outside our reach, we only create more emotional turmoil. Acceptance is about finding peace within ourselves, regardless of what's happening outside. It's about letting go of the need to control every detail and allowing ourselves to just be in the moment. Acceptance is also about recognizing that the pain, the struggle, and the challenges we face are a part of life. It doesn't mean we have to like it, but it does mean we stop fighting against it in a way that harms our mental and emotional health. Life will never be perfect. There will always be highs and lows, and often, the most difficult experiences bring the greatest growth. Acceptance helps us navigate through the tough times without being consumed by them. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we start to ask, "What can I learn from this?" One of the most powerful aspects of acceptance is that it frees us from the emotional weight of constantly trying to change things we cannot control. When we stop fighting against reality, we open up space to deal with what's in front of us. This doesn't mean we stop trying to improve our lives or take action. It simply means we stop wasting energy on things we can't change. For example, we can't control how other people behave, but we can control how we respond to them. We can't change the past, but we can choose how we move forward. This kind of acceptance allows us to focus on what we can influence, like our mindset, our actions, and our attitudes. It's the key to freeing ourselves from the grip of anxiety and despair. We stop seeing life as something happening to us and start seeing it as something we're actively participating in. When we embrace this, we become empowered. We realize that, while we may not have control over everything, we always have control over our choices and how we react to the challenges life throws our way. Acceptance also leads to greater self-compassion. When we stop beating ourselves up for not having everything figured out, when we let go of the pressure to be perfect, we give ourselves the grace to simply be human. We stop expecting ourselves to be immune to pain, failure, or mistakes. We recognize that we're doing the best we can in the circumstances we're given. This self-compassion is a key ingredient in moving forward with a lighter heart. Even when life feels heavy, There's another layer to acceptance that's worth mentioning: the acceptance of our own limitations. We often put so much pressure on ourselves to be everything for everyone, to have all the answers, and to be perfect. But the truth is, we are all flawed, imperfect beings, and that's okay. It's okay to not know the answers. It's okay to not have everything together. It's okay to ask for help and to admit that we need support. Accepting our limitations is a form of self-respect because it acknowledges that we are human, with strengths and weaknesses, and that's what makes us real. One of the hardest aspects of acceptance is letting go of the what-ifs and the should-haves. We often find ourselves stuck in a loop of regret, wishing we had done things differently, or imagining how things could have turned out if we had made different choices. But living in the what-ifs is a surefire way to stay stuck in the past. The truth is, we can't change the past. What we can do is make the best choices moving forward and learn from our mistakes. Acceptance is about acknowledging that we did the best we could with the knowledge and circumstances we had at the time. From this place, we can free ourselves to move forward without being weighed down by the burden of regret. So, how do we begin to practice acceptance when life feels unbearable? It starts with small moments of mindfulness. When we find ourselves caught in stress or frustration, we can pause, take a deep breath, and remind ourselves that it's okay not to have control over everything. From there, we can focus on what we can change, what we can influence, and how we can take small steps toward peace. It's not about accepting everything passively. It's about accepting what is and then choosing how we respond. Acceptance isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing practice. It's a choice we make each day, in each moment, and over time. It will help us navigate through life's ups and downs with greater ease. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the weight of the world, we'll learn to embrace it and find peace in knowing that, while we can't change everything, we always have the power to choose how we move forward. And in that choice, we find the freedom to live more fully, even in the face of life's most difficult moments, as we continue to explore how to make life feel less unbearable. It's crucial to recognize that the path to peace often requires letting go of the idea that we need to control everything. This desire for control is deeply ingrained in us, and while it can drive productivity and action, it also sets us up for frustration when things inevitably slip through our fingers. The truth is, the more we cling to the need for control, the more we rob ourselves of the opportunity to experience freedom, peace, and joy in the present moment. One of the most powerful ways to find relief when life feels overwhelming is by learning how to surrender. Surrender isn't about giving up or resigning yourself to a life of suffering. It's about accepting that some things are simply beyond our control and releasing the need to fight against them. When we let go of our constant need for control, we free up emotional space to focus on what truly matters: our well-being, our relationships, and our growth. Letting go of control allows us to become more flexible in the face of uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and the more we try to micromanage every detail, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment. But when we accept that uncertainty is part of the human experience, we can learn to live with it rather than fight against it. This doesn't mean that we give up on our goals or stop trying to improve ourselves. It simply means that we stop trying to control every outcome and start trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. Another key part of letting go is embracing imperfection. So often, we hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, believing that if we don't achieve perfection, we've failed. But perfection doesn't exist. We all make mistakes. We all fall short at times. And that's perfectly okay. When we accept our imperfections and learn to embrace them, we stop viewing ourselves as failures and start seeing ourselves as works in progress. This shift in mindset can be incredibly freeing, as it allows us to move through life with greater compassion toward ourselves and others. Letting go also means letting go of the past. It's easy to get stuck in regret, wishing we had made different choices or taken different paths. But living in the past keeps us from fully experiencing the present. We can't change what has already happened, and dwelling on past mistakes or missed opportunities only holds us back from moving forward. By releasing the grip the past has on us, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We give ourselves the chance to learn from our experiences and use them to grow, rather than staying trapped in a cycle of what-ifs. And, importantly, letting go doesn't mean letting life happen to us passively. It's about finding the balance between accepting what we cannot change and taking action in areas where we do have control. It's about knowing when to stand firm and when to let go. This balance allows us to live more mindfully, focusing on the present and making choices that align with our true values, rather than being driven by the fear of what might happen next or the need to predict every outcome. The process of letting go is a journey, and it takes practice. There will be moments when we find ourselves falling back into old patterns of needing control, and that's okay. What's important is that we keep coming back to the idea of surrender. We remind ourselves that we don't have to hold on to everything so tightly. We can trust the process of life, trust that we're on the right path, and trust that we have the inner strength to face whatever comes our way. When we let go of the need for control, we open ourselves up to greater peace, joy, and fulfillment. We stop chasing after things that don't matter, and we start focusing on what truly brings us happiness, whether that's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply being present in the moment. The weight of trying to control every aspect of our lives lifts, and we begin to experience a sense of freedom that allows us to enjoy life in a way we never thought possible. Ultimately, letting go is about reclaiming our inner peace. It's about finding the courage to release the things that no longer serve us, and trusting that, by doing so, we'll create space for more of what truly matters. It's a process of surrendering to the flow of life, knowing that we can't predict everything, but we can always choose how we respond. And when we embrace this, we discover that life, while imperfect and challenging at times, is full of beauty, love, and growth.